What's up everybody, welcome to the video. My name is Keith and this is my 3D printed camera charging station. In the past I used to have a sort of charging station which was a laptop bag, had an extension lead in there and the wires and chargers and stuff, but it was just too complicated. It was ideal if I wanted to take it somewhere, I could just take the laptop bag, plug that extension lead in, everything would charge. But it was no good. So I was looking online, a lot of people had these SKADIS from IKEA and the 3D printed stuff in, so I decided that was the route that I was going to go down. But the main problem was all the power leads. I wanted one power lead, the rest was all USB, and this is the idea that I came up with. This is it here. So this is a sort of charging port as such. It comes with one power lead, and in the top you have all of your USB and USB-C inputs, outputs. So I have 4 USB and 4 USB-C. Now this was enough for all of the different chargers and stuff that I had, so this was ideal. Some of the chargers I did upgrade from like the official Sony battery chargers, the sort of plugged in one. So I went for USB powered one that charges up 2 batteries at a time. I've got 2 of those. But we'll head over and we'll have a look. So this is a recent addition that I've just added on, and I'll probably get another one for the other side. And this is a top mount shelf for the SKADIS. So this shelf here, which I'll talk about later, originally had these batteries in. However, I don't know if you can see, but the plastic's warping a bit because of the weight that was on it. So I decided that having something like this, a shelf, was much easier to store these batteries than putting them on this shelf and potentially having that fall down over time. So this was one of the recent additions, but this is just this shelf that goes on the top and you can hold whatever you need really. Like I said, I'm holding these batteries and it seems to be much better than this shelf here. The next thing is these cable tidies. So I have some of the cables in to keep them tidy, and also this is like off my my zone belt, so it's a cable to keep that stored there so I know where it is. I also have another one down here, so when I'm putting the cables in I can just wind them around and that keeps them securely in there. A little bit better cable management doing it this way, but yeah. And then also this one here, this one is a lot of cables in it, because this is where everything's coming out of the charger block, and instead of having loads of cables left over or feeding them behind or whatever, I use these cable tidies just to wind the cables around and have them in there. Then of course I have the charging station dock. So this was one of the first things that I designed for 3D printing. So I knew I wanted something like this so I can get in the power lead at the bottom and access to the top. So this is what I came up with and designed. Had obviously the SKADIS mount attached to the back, and that's it. And this is the brain behind everything. This powers everything, just makes it so easy. Then this one here, this is a mount for the chargers for the Sony batteries. These particular ones are Energon chargers, but I believe you can fit any of them in. So I did have a different one in, but I decided to go with both of the same chargers essentially, and had these Energon, and they're really handy. So you just sort of pop your battery in like that, pop them out, and you can see how much they're charging up. So yeah. I also have one here and one down here. These are little hot shoe mounts. So if I take this microphone and position that on there, anything with a hot shoe can be mounted on here, so sort of anything you want really. So I printed both these off so I could have my microphones easily accessible. So one of this here is the mount for the Pocket, which I'll look into it later, but this is the mount for this. What I think I'm going to do eventually is adjust the mounts so I can have them magnetic, because obviously the back of this is magnetic. If I stick a magnet on the mount, instead of putting it in the hot shoe all the time, I can just stick it on and it'll stick there. This one here is down as a Sony charger, which is very similar to this. However, this is to fit my charger for these batteries here. So these are the F550, 570s, and also the bigger thick ones up the top here use that charger. You see there, that's the 970. So that just basically goes in there, you put your battery in, it charges up, little access in the bottom for the cable, and that's where the battery goes. I also have this, which I thought would come in handy. As you can see, it's like quite a deep little pocket as such. I don't know what I'm going to put in there yet. I haven't decided, but for things that could go in, I don't know, but I thought it was the space I had and the design looked quite good. So it'd be nice to be able to use that for stuff that don't fit anywhere else or doesn't go in the little bag down here. So that's that. And there's two here which are empty. So there's one there and one there. And what I'll do, I'll just spin this around and put you in there. Put that in there. And now we'll switch over video. So this is the phone. So this is the mount here, and it fits in your Pocket 3 and the charging battery pack, whatever it is. So you put them in there. And what I've done with this one down here, there's a cable that goes in the bottom. So then the Pocket 3 can be charged up when that's plugged in. And there's the mount for that. So yeah, I've got two of these. So one fits in the Pocket, which I usually use the bottom one. And eventually, I did want to get another Pocket 3, but Pocket 4 is coming out soon, so I might have to get this redesigned for the Pocket 4, but that's that one. I also have these little pen holders for Sharpies, so there's two of them. So I have this Sharpie, which is a click one, and this is like a Sharpie in a little case. So I always have Sharpies handy for when I need them to write on things or do whatever. They're there on the charging case. Like I said, I had this shelf which was used to store these batteries. However, this was sort of given away a bit, so I've changed it into, at the minute, just a power bank holder. But I'm going to see what else I can fit in there and put on that shelf instead. I might need to print another one just so it's a bit more sturdier and not put as much weight in like with these batteries. I've got another one downstairs that's being used. But yeah, that's a shelf which is quite good just to put things in. It's quite deep as well, so you can actually store things in the bottom and not have them roll out. But yeah, it's a nice long shelf and does well, apart from if you put heavy things in. This one here is also a mount for the Godox X3 camera trigger. So there's the trigger there. You have the little mount there for the Godox X3. I also have a 3D printed bumper around the flash unit as well. So as you can see there, there's the little bumper which goes onto the flash trigger on the top, pushes on like so, and just gives it a bit extra protection. And again, that just goes in there. That's easy accessible for when I need it. I also have this other SKADIS tray. So these batteries here are for a video camera. When those aren't being charged, when they're done, they go in there with that other one. So there, that goes in there. And you have the other batteries in here, and I use it just basically to store stuff. So this is an HDMI video cable splitter, and it's a really nice shelf just to put stuff on. This is a nice little handy thing. So this is to hold your Sony batteries. You have them in different brands and battery sizes and battery types, but this is a Sony one, and this was for 4 batteries. So I printed off 2 so I can hold 8 in there. So I've got the 3, so when these 4 aren't charging, I've got 3 there, and then 1 in the camera, and then the other 3 in the cameras, so you're never short of batteries. It's really handy, so I can put them in charging up. Then if there's, see this one at the bottom, that one's fully charged up, so I can just take it out, put it in there. Then I know these are all charged up, so when I need to grab a battery, I can grab them from any of these, and I know they're charged. The same with this. In the rare instance that I need AA or AAA batteries for anything, there's this little holder, so you can just pull them out like so and get access to the battery. Same with the AAA, just pull them out and then they go down, and you just have to fill them back up. So this is really handy. Instead of having to dig in drawers and stuff to find batteries, they're all there. And again, cable management. So these here are little cable clips which you can print out. There's loads of different ones. So there's like a barrel kind that go sideways. There's some that go upways like so. And it's just basically so when you are putting everything in, you can use these cable clips to keep cables tidy and direct them to where you want to go. So they're really, really handy. I know my cable management isn't the best, but it's usable and seems to work okay, so that's all that matters. I also have a holder here for the GoPro. Doesn't really get used as much as it used to, but there's a mount there for that. So that goes in there and easily accessible when needed. This here was originally for power banks. So there is 2 little sections in there, so you can put 2 different power banks. However, they seem the perfect size for 2.5-inch hard drives. So I just store them in here for whenever I need them for backups and stuff, and easy access to get into them. So yeah, I've just used that as storage for hard drives rather than power banks. The other power bank I've got in here, and I've got other ones, so I had them in this shelf here or in here as well. And one of the last things is this here. So this is a USB, an SD and micro SD holder. So you have all of your USBs, so you can put them in the slots here like that, put them in any of the slots, and you use it to store USBs. So if you have lots of random USBs, then this is perfect. But this I use for client USBs. So in total you can fit in 25 USBs in here. So it means I can have 25 USBs ready to go for whenever we need to put on images on USB. I just grab one of those and go. Obviously I'm down to 4 now, so I need to stock up, but that's the space for that. And these are all sort of old SD cards or smaller SD cards. Like some of them are like 2 gig, so you can get on one picture or something, if that. And then like instead of throwing them away, 64 gigabyte, I've just put them in here, so they're there if I need something to, I don't know, maybe send a file to someone, copy a file across. If someone wants to take a photo to ASDA, and just give them an SD card and say keep it. Something I forgot about was something I've created, but it's not the best, to be fair, and this is holders for the flash batteries. So if you can see in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Yeah, see there, so that's a red light, that means it's charging, and when it's charged it goes onto a green. So these are in here. Obviously at the time when I created this, I wasn't overly the best at creating stuff in 3D print, so I just sort of put these together, made the little holes in the bottom because that's where it is. Ideally the battery chargers shouldn't be in that way, they should be that way stood up, but I didn't know how to position it around to get it in the side and all that other design stuff, so I just did it like this just for ease of use, and it works. Put the batteries in, you sort of have to go at a slight angle to see them charging up, but yeah, that works. And the same with this. So this is another similar mount which was slightly adapted to put a hole in the side here to fit this charger in. And I do believe that is it for this charging station. In the future I am going to modify it so I can make it different than what it is, because there's some things that I like about it, some things I don't like about it, and like I said, like this here, there's no use for it, it's just dead space, so I may as well put something else there and do something else with it. So if you're interested in seeing what I come up with in the future, let me know in the comments below. I'll maybe do a full rundown of taking this all apart and putting it all back together with fresh new 3D prints, maybe just keeping some of the same ones, having to move around and that sort of stuff. If you're interested, then just borrowing like me, trying to do something like this. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to give the channel a subscribe as well. Trying to build up those numbers just to try and get those videos out to people, more people to watch as well. But yeah, until next time. Oh, if you want to download these, check the link in the description below. There's a collection on Maker World that I've done. But yeah, until next time, see ya.